Although Watkins and Bell Hooks might seem like interchangeable names of the same person, the same author, and the same creative talent, this myth could not be farther from the truth. Now, the origin of the pseudonym or pen name of Bell Hooks came from Watkins' matriarchal family lineage. Interestingly enough, while Watkins was struggling with defining herself as an African American female writer, there was this subtle and backward familial aversion to social standards. As her testimonials describe, the female roles and the female authority figures in Watkins' life spoke with a cadence that willed respect and boomed with authority. Even though Watkins was oppressed and beaten down by these same authority figures, she was inspired by their confident voices, despite their constant agenda to break Watkins' spirit. Therefore, it is interesting that Watkins would choose a name that both represented freedom in speech, but also embodied an allegiance to the patriarchy. Although she chose this pseudonym as a tribute to her family's lineage, what is more interesting is Watkins' decision to purposefully keep her pen name in all lowercase letters. From Bell Hooks' piece, Talking Back, she gives insights to the experience and reasons as to why she made the decision to use a pseudonym in the first place. In Talking Back, Hooks describes, quote, "One of the many reasons I chose to write using the pseudonym Bell Hooks, a family name, was to construct a writer identity that would challenge and subdue all impulses that would lead me away from speech into silence. I was a young girl buying bubblegum at the corner store when I first really heard the name Bell Hooks. I had just talked back to a grown person. Even now I can recall the surprised look, the mocking tones that informed me I must akin to Bell Hooks. A sharp-tongued woman, a woman who spoke her mind, a woman who was not afraid to talk back. I claimed this legacy of defiance, of will, of courage, affirming my link to female ancestors who were bold and daring in their speech. Bell Hooks, as I discovered, claimed and invented her, was my ally, my support." End quote. Through this excerpt, we can see that bell hooks were almost an escape for Watkins. It seemed as though bell hooks was an identity that Watkins could assume to take on the challenge of speaking out against political and social climates. Since this was such a daunting and isolating challenge, it makes sense that Watkins would create the powerful and confident persona bell hooks to confide in and find inspiration from when being silent would have been the easier option. But instead, Watkins chose to have a powerhouse of a social advocate who voiced their opinions and used their talents instead of hiding in cowardice and silence. This is the principle we need to keep in mind when we are regarding the work of bell hooks. We need to recognize that the intentional and purposeful lowercase lettering in the pseudonym is meant to draw attention away from the author and to focus the reader's attention on the content and the character of the work. By recognizing the lowercase lettering of bell hooks, we are deliberately participating in the movement against silence in the midst of social turmoil. When we recognize the lowercase letters, we are promoting the voice in the movement rather than the merits of the author. And although Watkins should be awarded and celebrated for her efforts against the patriarchy, her humility and commitment to the causes that are important to her are the ideas and foundations that we should be taking away from her pieces.